Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome to another Livin Freestyle Game Dev live stream, AMA Q&A. My name's Kevin. We do this twice a week right now. We're doing this Sunday nights at 10:15 and Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. That's in Pacific Standard Time. And it works just like it sounds. It's an AMA Q&A, come and go as you please. The idea here is I hang out. If you have questions about game dev, Unreal Engine, blueprint, scripting, all those kinds of things, hop in, ask those questions. We'll try to stumble through those together. I am fortunate enough to work in games right now. I currently work at Riot Games in R&D, and I'm a tech artist, which means that hopefully I have a pretty good ability to actually be able to bridge the gap for the art creative side as well as the technical side, because that's what I do at the day job. Now, why are we doing this? We're doing this for a lot of different reasons. We're doing this because as cool as the stuff is I get to do at the day job, there's a lot of really cool things I don't get to do. And this is a great chance for me to kind of branch out and learn a bunch of other cool things. Now, if there aren't any questions, nobody's here, which does happen fairly frequently. No worries, we're going to be just continuing to stream our working towards my own personal project of a working prototype for a game. And from the last stream, we were deep in the throes of finishing off a transition to Unreal 5.1. And at the very end of the stream, it seemed like we got there. So now we're going to kind of be picking up the pieces, getting back into our AI, trying to figure out what's next, and also kind of taking a little bit of a survey of what's broken. I took a look through the questions. I didn't see any specific questions in any of the previous streams. Also keep in mind, I'm going to take a quick second. It's pouring rain. Oh, apologies. Very atypical Southern California thing, and it's dumping rain, and the dog was still outside. So, anyways, back to where we were. We're going to be hopping straight back into Unreal. This actually makes me think that I need one of those be right back windows for streams. Okay, so let's hop in and get going. We're going to... Oh, I remember. I didn't see any questions from last time. Also, keep in mind, if because we're doing the series, the crash course on scripting for creatives, if you have questions about any of your homework or Python or anything like that we can kind of stumble through, let's do that as well. Also, a quick heads up there. I've got another series that I've been kind of working towards. We're going to do an intro to visual scripting in Unreal, and that's going to be a lot of the same principles and everything of the scripting class, except we're going to be doing Unreal with blueprints and the visual scripting. The cool thing about both of those classes is you will be able to take the learnings and apply the foundational part of those learnings to different scripting languages and different visual scripting programs. So with that, let's go ahead, and we don't have any questions, so let's just hop back into Unreal and take a look at where we are. All right, we have a couple things. So one thing that I noticed was there's a couple things we can fix and a couple things of getting back to our working game. If we go ahead and play and see where we are, let's just pop up a gun. Oh wow. Just a bunch of headshots. Let's get rid of these guys real quick. There we go. Alright, what I want to show you is where's our health pack? Something's going on where it'll all of a sudden just appear. And there's supposed to be a countdown timer on the thing, which I believe there it is. All of a sudden it just pops up. Now, if I walk over this, it seems like it's working fine, and then all of a sudden, it's just going to disappear. Right about here. It's just gone. So I wanna, that's one thing that we can take a look at. Hey Alexander, welcome to the stream. Working on the biome tree spawning system. I'm still working on the EQS understanding, but in the meantime, I set up a few different BPs. That is awesome. Is there anything specific about the EQS that you know, we can kind of look at to help you understand? All right, I'm gonna escape out here. So we have a problem with this blueprint. What I want to do is I want to try to figure out what's going on, and there's a couple different possibilities. If we choose edit test pickup, we were doing some stuff where, let's take a look at what events we have. We have begin play. That's pretty straightforward. It creates a sphere with collision enabled. Then we have our actor overlap. This one's a little bit more complicated. All right, but nothing too crazy. Then we have a set mesh. This is the one where this makes our pickup multifunctional. In other words, we can pick up health packs with this pickup. We can pick up pistols. We can pick up everything. You know what? It's worth double checking that the stream is actually working. Yes, because we've done that before where we forgot to stream our screen. Okay, tick is adding, okay, this is the rotation so that the object is spinning. So this is adding relative rotation, and it's setting our gun pad loading value. Okay, and then we have cooldown complete. Pickup ready, cooldown complete. Activating, setting ability, setting collision. Okay, I have a feeling that none of these things are our problem. What I'm wondering is, okay, so Alexander, harvestable, the tree. Spawner, spawn multiple trees, okay. NPC, harvest the tree, cool. The trees notify the spawner that they exist, and the spawner stores all of them in a variable. On change the spawner. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to figure out. I think you're just describing the current setup. Notifies all the assigned NPCs. This is how the NPCs know where to get this resource. No, I don't think, I look at it. My theory is, as you're learning EQSs, I don't think there's anything wrong with whatever was working. Hold on a second though. Let me look at your comment though. Notifies all assigned NPCs. This is how the NPCs know where to get resources. No, I don't think that's a bad way. And in fact, if we look at, let's take a look at the NPCs here. How do they know? How do the NPCs know where to go get a test pickup when their health is low? And that's going to be a similar thing. So let's take a quick look. Just how I did it. Okay, so during fight, I believe it is, we have running an EQS queries, should melee, set focus. Oh, we have a check health, I believe it is. So we have a should fight, and this is going to check to see, and this is the NPC trying to figure out if it should fight. All right, it's going to come in here, it gets the controller, it gets, it checks to see if they're out of ammo, or if weapons are not nearby, la-di-da-di-da. That count. Okay, so this is basically about whether or not it has ammo and should fight. That is not what we're looking for. So let's check. Should melee. Should melee. Nope, it's got to be further up in our tree. Maybe it's up here in BT. Here's strategize, perception, check line of sight. Here we go. Check health. All right, now what this one does is this one gets the pawn. Okay. This one's a little bit more complicated. And the reason it's a little bit more complicated is this check health has two parts to it. And the idea behind it is, in this specific case, if I'm weak, but I have friends nearby, then I'm not as likely to run. So ignoring all of this up here and all of this down, yikes, all of this down here, basically all we're doing is we're getting our health from our character, and depending on what it is, we will return. See, this is, do we have friends and is our health less than 0.4, then we don't need to run. But if we don't have friends and our health is less than a certain number, then we will run. All right, so that sets whether or not we're healthy, but that also does not describe how we go look for items. Checking ammo, checking line of sight. I cannot for the life of me remember where we get health packs. Here we go. Check and use health items. Maybe that's what we wrote. All right. Let's see what we did in here. This one gets all of the items that we have. And if any of them are health items, it will use it. But that does not find the health items. Okay. Find a cover position, find random control, find health. Here we go. Let's see what this does. All right, this is a task. And I know it says weapon locations, but just ignore that because health was originally implemented as a weapon. And we're basically checking to see if we've already found health. We're clearing our positions for the AI controller, casting to it, inventory manager. Okay, so the way our health works is basically this is getting all actors of class. So not quite, this isn't even really using the EQS system to do it. So I think the answer, Alexander, is whatever works at the time. And I think part of the reason this is like this, just for historical reference, is I had not learned about the EQS system when I first implemented this particular task called Find Health. And so it wasn't until later that I started leveraging the EQS system for finding attack locations and all those kinds of things. Trees notify the spawner they exist, and spawner stores all of them very well. On change, the spawner notifies all the assigned NPCs. This is how the NPCs know where to get the resources. Is that a bad way to go? I think the one thing I like about that, by the way, just for the record, is you're reducing the number of times your NPCs are querying the world. So let me try to explain this a different way. You could set it up so that each NPC queries all of the trees. It says, where are all the trees that I could harvest? And that means that for every single NPC in the game, you are running either an EQS query or get all actors of type. So that's a lot of thinking that the CPU and everything has to do to keep up with that from a performance standpoint. The cool thing about putting it in the spawner is now you have one actor in your scene that is keeping track of all of the trees. And if an NPC wants to find one, all they have to do is ask the spawner, give me a tree. Now, the one thing that you would potentially have to take a look at is once you get the list of trees, you probably want to use an EQS query to find the closest one, unless you want to get a random one. I think as you described here, rather than having every single actor querying them all, you're storing them all. It's almost like having an encounter manager. And actually, I'm in the middle of changing a bunch of that stuff for my prototype as well, because originally the way that it worked was, what was I doing that with that? Oh, we just finished doing a similar thing where what we were doing was every single character was querying all of the allies and everything in the scene to try to figure it out. And so we're moving towards an encounter manager instead, where the encounter manager is going to keep track of how many enemies that are there so that there's one central location. So if you have a tree farmer or tree spawner that keeps track of your trees and all your characters know they can ask the tree spawner for information, great. That also means that you can use the EQS system to ask your tree spawner for information as well, and then you can even score the results. The character gets updates on the tree locations passively from the spawner. The NPCs then calculate the closest one, but only when looking for a new tree. That's cool. That is a good way to do it. Just something that I've noticed though is you could use an EQS to auto calculate the closest one, as opposed to putting that in the NPC. So in your EQS query, let me see if I can find one. EQS. Okay, so let's see here. Here's an EQS called objective check. And what this is basically you're writing your own EQS query. And what this does is basically it gets all actors with the tag of objective on it. And for each one, it adds it to the objective actors. And then what it does is at the end, it returns all of the objective actors. And what that means is this EQS context can be used in an EQS query. And if we do that, let's see if I'm even using this one. If we look at our reference viewer, doesn't look like I'm actually using this one. Let's see if we can find one that we're using. Here we go, find weapon. So the weapon check does a similar thing. Let me bring this up before I switch. Okay, so this is weapon check. What weapon check is doing is it's going through, it's getting the inventory, and then similarly to your tree thing, it's getting all actors of class weapon. And it goes through and it does a calculation. So however many calculations you do, whatever it is you want to, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the point of this EQS context is it is going to, at the end, it is going to return a list of weapon location. All right, then what you can do is in find weapon, I can use this weapon check and I can add to the EQS two filters, if you will. One is distance and one is each of these can filter and score. So one is distance and one is path exists. So in this case, once I get my list of weapons, in your case trees, what you can do is you can use the EQS system to score the distance based on how far it is away from the character. And the other cool thing that I haven't started using yet in here is, I'm pretty sure somewhere in here there was there's an ability to add in a offset, a variability, like 25% or 10%. I don't see it right now. Average score, min score, max score, multiply. Yeah, we'll just keep this as average. Reference value, relative to scores, absolute, inverse linear. I don't know where it is, I swear I saw it, but somewhere in one of these is the ability to have a random variability so it doesn't always pick the same point. I'd have to dig it up. But the overall point is you're getting, however you're getting your list, you're using the EQS system to score that list so that your pawns, you don't have to have that logic in your NPCs if you don't want to, as an example. I am also new to the EQS system and learning a ton about it as we go. Now, getting back to our test pickup, why it's disappearing, there's nothing in the logic that makes me think that this thing is getting hidden or displayed after a certain amount of time. Because basically our begin overlap does its thing, and the set mesh, and then our ticking, literally all it's doing is rotating and setting Niagara variables. So what that means to me is possibly our gun pad is timing out, maybe. I'm trying to figure out how we can test this. So if we look at this, no worries, Alex. I'm sorry, Alexander. I'm not sure if you prefer Alexander or Alex. Okay. I'm wondering if the lifespan on our Niagara system look at this. It is right around 10 seconds. This thing stops. Interesting. So is it 10 seconds in that our characters, our spawner disappears? Let's see if we can beat them to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Disappears. Okay. So what's happening is, hopefully not a crash. Okay, great. What's happening is our Niagara system is not infinitely surviving. We'd have to figure out where to update this. And I think what we want is beam base, beam core, emitter properties, emitter spawn, life cycle mode is based on the system. Interesting. Lifetime of 1. So that's not it. And our system, I don't even see lifetime mode in system. I believe if we just drag this, let's go to 30 seconds. If we just drag this to 30, does that fix the problem? Is it that easy? And 30. No, it is still looping at 10. So something else is controlling this loop. Unfortunately, it has been far too long since I looked at Niagara, and I'm going to have to think about this for a second. All right, this is our system properties. Where's all our variables that usually show up in the middle here? Window, Niagara log, user parameters, lifetime 10 seconds. Let's go with 30, and let's go play. I think that's it. This is going to work, and we just need to make sure our lifetime is as long as our respawn. Okay, they're all forming up around me. Our system did not disappear, which is great. Okay, so that's an easy fix. I don't even know if 30 is long enough. We're probably going to have to take a look. Actually, we should probably use the variable based on what we set. Actually, it is 30 is long enough. Great. All right, now, one of the things I do want to look at though, you can see that the cooldown time is 30. Probably what we want to do in our variable, maybe in our construction, begin play. Here's what I want to know. If we want to switch new weapon, static mesh, skin mesh, we're going to set Niagara variables. Let's go back. I want to change this. I want to change this back. I'm going to change this lifetime back to 10. And what I want to do I could just double click this. All right, let's copy this. Back in here in our test pickup, in our begin play, for gun pad loading, what we're going to do is we're going to set a scalar parameter. It should be set parameter and float parameter. Okay, and the name of that float parameter, I copied the whole thing. That's not what we want. Let's just see it. Lifetime, I believe it is. Let's go back to our Niagara system. Lifetime with the capital L and T, it's cavalcades. Okay, now what we're going to do is let's just set this initially to, let's say, 5, just to test, because it'll be faster. And then we'll go play. And then when we pick this up, it should take 5 seconds for it to disappear, if we got it right. Yep, it did. Okay, perfect. So now we don't even have to think about this anymore. What we can do is, because a long time ago, while we were so, this is such a, it seems like a completely non sequitur thing in our whole 5.1 upgrade, but what we can do is, a long time ago, we changed this to use a cooldown time, where you could specify how long the pickup cooled down. And all we're going to do is feed this in here. That way we're setting our Niagara system cooldown time to be the same value as the cooldown time for the actual pickup, so that it doesn't disappear in the middle of play, and it'll pop back on when it's supposed to. So that's a cool quick fix. Now if we go back to this, there's a couple things that we can work on now. So far things with 5.1 seem to be holding up. If I switch back to our pistol, so one is our enemies are doing much better about getting into place. This one character here, she's standing on the backside here, she's still driving me crazy. Now in the grand scheme of how or the amount of work that we have to do for this prototype, you know, is her not getting to that spot that important in the throw of battle? How often am I going to be standing here waiting for all of them to wail on me? It's just kind of an annoyance. And also, I sort of want to understand it. So one thing we can do is we can get back to trying to figure out how to visualize the pathing of our AI, which we were working on before we started the 5.1 upgrade. That's one thing we can do. The other thing that we were working on is we were working on just overall balance. And for the most part, you can see this is pretty good. They're all taking up really good positioning around our characters. Now, one of the ones that was also confusing to me is they're not moving here because they're all in almost all of them. I think she is not. This one right here, if I shoot her, I believe she is actually a little bit too far away to attack, and that's why she's still trying to move. And we can confirm that if we bring up her behavior tree and we take a look at it. So let's just take a look at her behavior tree. So she's in fight and she's trying to move to a location. Arm distance is failing and target in range is... Target in range, is this inverse? Yeah. So what's happening is she's doing a target in range check, and as a result of it not being in range, she's running her query And if we go back, we can see the query that she's running if we press the 4 key and then the star. And we can see the query that she's running. Now, she has, interestingly enough, there's a couple things about this that bug me. That is the sphere she's trying to get to. The one that she's standing right next to. Her acceptance criteria is too small. Right now it's 5, I believe. So she's not actually getting there. And the reason she's not getting there is she has 2 people in the way. Now what's weird to me is, and Alexander, this is the stuff we were just talking about with the EQS system. I thought I had set up this query so that if any of her buddies were standing next to a point within a certain distance, it would disqualify that point from the list. That doesn't look like it's happening. You can see with this character on the far screen right, it's blue, that blue one, that one's being disqualified. It's being disqualified because the character's too close to it. That's what the filtering is showing us. But for some reason, the one that the other 2 characters are standing next to is not being disqualified. And I don't really understand that. So let's see if we can take a look and see why that's not being disqualified. Test pickup. Yes, we can. Oh, we don't have our per force up. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Now we should be good. Let's compile and save this. And we can check that out. Okay, great. And I believe that should be the only thing that we have checked out now because we started. Oh no, we have a few things checked out. Interesting. What is this stuff? Why is this different? Oh, that was a bug we fixed. iPickupable. This was also a bug for 5.1. This is all part of the 5.1 fixes. We should probably check these in. We'll do that after the stream. Okay. So back to our EQS query. What they were doing when they were fighting, they're running this find melee attack position. If we take a look at our find melee attack position EQS query, we've got a couple things in here. This is basically a compound query. It's doing a double circle. It's got 2 rings to it. And what we do with that is we're basically checking that a path exists and we're filtering. Then we're doing distance based. And then we've got another distance based. And then we've got allies. Okay. Now in this, you'll notice that we kind of want to do these in order. So I think I need to move the allies up. And I think we should just change this to filter only. So we only want to score. We want to score as few times as possible, as I understand it. Alright, and that's filter and score, and this is distance. What is this? Target enemy. Oh, I see. So this is... Alright, so we have a path exists. We're going to filter that. And distance. I see. I think what we need, okay, here, I think we need the points first. And this is going to be, no, let's filter those out. Let's just say that's it. Now, how are we filtering those? Float value of 50, maybe that's too small. Let's try 100. See if we can't recreate the same thing, and the order is also, distance is score only. So let's move this down and filter and score. No. We don't want to do that. Let's just do distance. Let's do filter. Okay, I'm obviously I'm going back and forth. Relative to scores, absolute, clamp min, clamp max, linear, square root, constant. I wish I could remember where we specified the randomness of it. I'm gonna have to look that up. But let's see if this makes a difference as far as that particular test case again. So we're going to get them all to come in. That's pretty good. Okay. They all sort of filtered right into their spots. Well, I don't know why this dude keeps trying to move though. Okay. So let's see if we can recreate this. I'm gonna go here. Oh, dude, I think it's working. This guy's having a little bit of trouble. Turn on his EQS system and just kind of watch it. That's the point. Oh, look at that. Did you see that? It popped up. All of those blue. Okay, great. So I think our distance to our allies was too close. So you'll notice the dark blue ones are the ones that are being filtered out. And if you notice, the ones that are right next to each of our allies are all blue. That's perfect. And that wasn't the case before. The other thing that you'll notice is with this character that's like right in front of me. I wish I could draw on the screen sometimes in these strings, but basically, nope, not that guy. The person who is between me, you see how there's a blue sphere behind them as well? That's because we've increased that radius enough that it's also capturing the sphere behind as well. Now the interesting thing is, because I moved, notice how now the distance to that last circle is a little bit over 100, so it's no longer filtered out. If I move backwards, the spheres are going to move, and you'll notice that the last two spheres on the top side, those are being filtered out because now those points are halfway between. None of these characters are moving right now because they all think that they're in range. Now the thing that's bugging me slightly and it's so slight. The thing that's bugging me slightly is, well, there's a couple bits. One is, I'm not sure why that character's having a hard time getting to their slot, but I added logic for keeping your enemies at arm's length. And what I mean by that is, if I turn off our EQS stuff, if I were to take a step towards this blue female character, I'm really close. She is supposed to adjust her position based on keep at arm's length. So let's take a look at that here next. But what I wanted, just one more time, just for kicks, if we move, overall, they're doing much better about getting into place. The one thing I don't like is I don't like the pathing, and I still think that's something that we're gonna take a look at. So let's figure out why, when I take a step towards her, she doesn't back off a little bit. That part I just don't get. So we're going to debug her. And when we debug her, what we're going to do is we'll take a look at her behavior tree. So right now she's definitely in fight. And she is running through, she should melee. We're doing our simple parallel. And we're in our wait, we're in our move 2. Target should be in range. Is it actually running these? No, it's not. But why is it running move 2? Oh, we may have a logic error. See, this is our arm's distance. The reason it's not running is because we're successful here. That's why. We're already hitting our move 2 goal. Nothing is updating our move 2 goal. And, okay, hold on. We've got to think about this behavior tree. I think we're close. I don't think it's even doing this sequence, because I think what's happening is, yeah, see, we're not hitting that. If I hit this, see how it hits that breakpoint? Okay, so what's happening is, resume. What's happening is, we're not even going into this sequence right now. Because of the way this parallel is working, what's happening is it's coming, it's looking at this move 2 goal, and we are basically, we're within our acceptable radius, so it's actually succeeding, and then we're going straight to wait. So we are never running our EQS queries again. This is a behavior tree logic flaw, and we just need to think about how to fix this. Now, the target is not in range. Okay, so here's what's also happening. If our target is not in range, we run the EQS query. But our target is in range right now, so we don't have to run our EQS query. I don't think we should be doing this branch at all if our target is in range. Okay, let's escape out and see if we can't clean this up a little bit. So if, let's just take target in range. Oops, target in range. I'm going to paste this up here. All right, if our target is not in range, we're going to run this stuff. Does that make sense? Yes, because we would want to do the move 2 in that case. All right. Now, I think we need this exact same logic up here as part of our sequence for arm's length to work. So let's paste this up here and make sure we're thinking about this right. Let's move this over. Okay, and we're going to drag down into here. Now, let's run through this logic. The very first time our enemy comes into whether or not we should melee. Should we melee? Let's just assume that we should. All right, is the target not in range? We're going to run the query to find an attack position. Okay, then we're going to check to see, is the target less than arm's distance? If it is, we're going to run the query to run the attack position. Now at first, let's just pretend we're really far away. So it's going to run this query. There's no way that you should be in arm's distance if the target's not in range. There's a potential race condition here where it is possible that if we set our arm's range and our target distance to be whatever, we could bounce back and forth between these two, but let's just pretend right now we're fine. All right. So here we go. Oh, there's that all right again. I got to get rid of that all right. Anyways, we have arm's distance. So it's going to run arm's distance. It's not going to do anything here because we're definitely not in arm's distance because we're really far away. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to say, is the target in range? If the target is not in range and we have an inverse check on it, then we're going to start this simple parallel. Now we've set our original position, and so it's going to start a move 2. While it's moving to that point, it's going to be running this sequence on the side. And that sequence on the side is basically just checking the target in range and arm's distance again. And this is being done here in parallel because if the target is moving, we want our enemies to not go to where it last was. We want our enemies to update where they're going to based on where I move to. Then When we're done with this parallel, we're going to wait for 2 seconds plus or minus 1. So we're either waiting for somewhere between 1 and 3 seconds randomly. Very cool. Now we get to where we're going. We're standing right next to the target. We're in range. When we come back in here, when we run this query, is the target in range? Yes it is, but this is not in range, so it's not going to do this one. Then it's going to check, is the target within arm's distance? Arm's distance right now is some variable. Let's just say, hopefully it's less than the range, but let's just say that we are not less than arm's distance. We're proper setting. We are in range. If the target is in range, if it's not in range, we're going to do this, but we're now in range. So we're not even going to do this. So we're not going to be running around. So we're just going to wait. I think this will do what we want it to do. So let's give this a shot. I think the one thing I want to check is I want to check this arm's distance. Because there's a couple things now I think about it. The condition for arm's distance is basically getting both of the target and ourselves, calculating the distance and seeing if it's less than 80. If it's less than 80, we're going to say that we are within arm's distance. I'm going to change this to be, yeah, let's just leave it as 80 for now. Let's just give this a shot. Oh, I'm excited. I'm hoping this is going to be a lot cleaner. All right, so here we are. All right, again. They're all moving into position. Okay, why is this dude speed skating? I do not want him to be speed skating. Man, what's he doing? He's trying to get to that point. Alright, I want to look at his behavior tree. Because why is he like bouncing around a little bit? It's kind of weird. We're in wait. How's he getting down here? Like, why is he running through here? Are you telling me that target's not within range? Our move to goal condition is acceptable radius of 5. Observed tolerance is 4 3/4 on the move to goal. Okay, for some reason it doesn't think this target is in range. Let's take a look at this. Let's put a breakpoint here for this character. And this character is which one? This is Mannequin 6. So let's switch this to Mannequin 6. Oh. Wait, maybe it's not 6. Maybe I can't read. That is, oh, it's 5. It's 5. Okay, so let's take a look at 5. Okay, it's running through here, but I want to know what the values are. When they perform the condition check, here we go, we hit our check. We're going to step through this. That's successful. Now, the target enemy, I'm assuming this is correct. Now, let's take a look at this. The actor location, what is our distance? Oh my goodness. It's 176. It's literally 5 units. Okay. Here's the problem. We're literally like 1.82 units into a weird condition. What do I mean by that? Basically, in our behavior tree, we are checking to see if the target is in range. The range for the melee sword, I believe, is 150. Or let's double check. Weapon, instance, sword. We look at this guy. Our range is 175. And what was that? It was 176.8, literally 1.8 off, which was causing us to be in that spot where we were still kind of bouncing around in this behavior tree. So one thing we could do is we could change it so that our move goal, our acceptable radius is the observed value for this blackboard is the move goal. And the task expected to react to changes to the location. So either our circle is too big, or our attack range of our sword is too small for the size of our melee circles. So what we could do is we could change this to be a little bit more. Let's go 190 with this. I think this will have the characters settle down a little bit, but it also potentially puts them in a position where they are too far away to actually do damage. Uh-oh. We're getting... Okay, here we go. Okay. So either that dude is still within 190 or something's broken. Well, let's try something. Let's see if I go to close the gap to this guy, if he moves. There's no way that guy, I am totally, all right. So this is C4. Let's look at the behavior tree for this character. C4. Oh, I see. So here's the problem. Target is still in range, so we're never going to run our arm's length. We need an or condition here. Not really sure how to do that cleanly. Alright, basically what's happening is everybody's in our circle. They're all in range. I take a step towards one of them. I'm too close. I'm in his face or her face. Now I expect them to take a step back. But the problem is the thing that would have me take a step back only works if the target is not in range, but the target is in range. So this really needs to be not in range, or arm's distance is wrong. So there's a couple ways that we could fix this. I don't think we can do both. And what I mean by that is, this is, it stacks. There's no or option here. So our options are, to duplicate this tree. Or we can create a custom decorator that handles both. But it is 8:54, so we don't have a lot of time left in the stream today. So let's just duplicate this. We're going to duplicate this whole tree. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug into this. But this tree is going to have a different condition to it. And the condition is going to be arm's distance. If we're within arm's distance, we're going to update and rerun our queries. Alright, let's try that again. I would love to get this fixed today. It would be cool to have that as a win. Even though we did fix something, we fixed our Niagara particles. Alright, everybody is within their attack spots. Just, why are you so aggro? Okay, here. Now, if I take a step towards this character, is he backing off? I don't know that he is. Wait a minute. You're telling me we're not within arm's distance of this character? Target is less than arm's distance. There's no way, dude. How far away are we? 160? That can't be right. The distance of our target enemy versus our pawn control. The control pawn. You're telling me that distance is 160. I'm having a hard time with that. I don't know if I buy that. Arm's distance. We need a good way to measure distance. Technically, each of these is 1 meter, I believe. Each of these squares. So that's 100. So let's take a look at that. So, okay, let's get rid of this breakpoint. If we take a look at this. So that's 100. That dude's freaking out. I feel like the distance from me to this character at this point I mean, I am right in this dude's face. And that distance you're telling me is 204. There is no way. There's no way. Okay, let's do this. Let's simplify this. Let's go down. We're gonna fix this. All right, let's go down to our spawn point, and let's go down to one character, one enemy. And then for that one enemy, we're going to do a little bit of overkill here, and we're gonna draw a bunch of stuff. So let's just see what we got here. Draw debug spheres. We're going to draw 2 debug spheres. Draw a debug sphere. Draw a debug sphere. And the first one we're going to draw at the... actually, that's not where we want to draw them. We'll draw them over here. Alright, and what we're going to be debugging here is we're going to debug the actor location of the target enemy. So let's draw that one as red with a radius of, yeah, let's make the radius our distance. Let's say 80. So we can kind of get a feel for that. We'll make all of our radiuses 80 so we can see what's going on. And then we're going to draw the second sphere is going to be, let's see, we said this was going to be red. We're going to draw our second sphere as green. And we're going to change our duration to 1. Our thickness is to 1. And we're going to run this again. Now what we need to do when we run and charge forward is, let's get rid of this breakpoint because we're doing this visually now. Okay, so our spheres are definitely drawing. It's a little bit crazy. Wow, that might actually be our distance might be too small. If I step towards her, she moves back just slightly. Interesting. Maybe our perception of the distance is wrong because these spheres are 80. So let's just change this. Let's change this to 100. Let's make it 1 meter. 100. And We'll make this do not 1,000. We'll also make each of these 100. Okay, and let's run that. All right, we have our spheres. Our distances are 100. Now, if I step towards her, she backs off. I'm having a hard time. Like, there is clearly hold on, let's take a look at the EQS system too while we're doing this. So the interesting thing to me is if I go to step on her, she does not back up to that sphere. Oh, hold on. I wonder if our EQS system sphere radius has a difference or has an impact. Find melee attack position. Wait, where'd that go? Is there anything that affects? I don't see anything that affects the point. It almost looks like it's using the edge of the EQS sphere as the setting, right? The distance that it goes to. And I'm wondering if there is something that affects the size. But for now, what we can do is in our fight, we can set our acceptance radius to be 1 for both of these move goals. Let's see if that gives us a little bit better behavior. Okay, so if I move towards her, she moves back. Wow, not very far. It seems like she is moving. Okay, right now she's sitting right on top of that sphere. If I come right up to her, see, she's barely, like, she's technically, it's like her capsule is touching that EQS sphere, but she's not actually in it. So I'm still within range as far as she's concerned. If I walk up to her, interesting. I think what we're fighting here is the EQS spheres, the acceptance radius, for when we get to the point. Well, you know what might be interesting would be if we also did a debug sphere on the move goal. Okay. I think we made a bunch of progress today in general. I believe that we're at a point now where what we want to do is things seem to be holding up well as far as 5.1. That's something that we've been kind of experimenting with. We didn't really check our item systems or anything like that, but so far we're running in 5.1 and we're able to make progress. I think we're starting to get closer to what's going on with the distancing and our EQS system and stuff like that. It almost looks like our spheres, the acceptance radiuses, are basically based on maybe the collision capsule for the character. So I think we need to fine tune that, because we're talking about melee fighting. All of these values are so close that it's easy for us to be halfway between one or the other, or it looks like we're within range, but we're not. And I just need to do some fine tuning on that. So with that, we're going to wrap up for today, and I will probably spend some time between now and the next stream trying to dial this in a little bit. I'm actually pretty excited about just, again, learning a bunch of stuff about the EQS system and what's actually happening. Hopefully I'll be able to share that with you Sunday. Now, that being said, I'm also working on getting the next installment of scripting crash course for creatives done. That should hopefully be out today or tomorrow. And that may slow me down as far as progress on this prototype. Alexander, thanks for hopping in. It was good to see you this morning. Everybody else who's kind of hanging out in the wings, as always, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Hop in, ask questions. Feel free to throw them in the chat. If there's something that we didn't cover, you have a question about, and you can't make the next stream, also throw it in the chat. I'll try to cover it during the stream, and you can always watch it later. Next stream is Sunday night, 10:15 Pacific Standard Time. We do that so that we have different coverage for different time zones. It's Wednesday. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week and an awesome weekend, and I hope to see you all Sunday. And one last bit, as always, if you like what we're doing here, you all are better at all this stuff than I am. If you know of great ways to support the channel, spread the word, you have ideas on how to do that, please don't hesitate to share those. It'd be great to keep doing this if you all find it helpful. Have a great one, and I'll catch you all in the next stream. Later.